studying contemporary composition in order to expand my melodic ability so that I'll have enough melodies. The main thing is to seek as much education as you can get.
"1968 saw a crescendo of violence and tragedy both at home and abroad. Donny Hathaway was en route to Chicago, a city itself freshly jolted by riots. Curtis Mayfield had built his own record label in this musically rich city, and he offered the talented young Hathaway a job.
He was writing, he was performing, he was producing, you name it. He was able to do anything in music he wanted to do.
Donny asked me to come up to Chicago. He had broken into the studio scene with chess records for the staple singers, for Stax, Philip Church. He did Curtis's stuff. So it was a step up for him as a musician and as an individual star.
I met Donny Hathaway at a place called Curtom Records. I was trying to get signed at that record company. I sang a song, and before I know it, this guy was playing along with me. In just instant, Donny seemed to already know the music. It was like magic. He was one of the most gifted musicians that I've ever worked with.
He channeled so much of what he was feeling into his music. I think he enjoyed being in his studio more than anything, because this was a chance to pour out all the ideas that he had.
Donny's ideas started to get attention. 2 of his songs appeared on a major label thanks to Roberta Flack.
Roberta Flack had her first album. It was called First Take. And Donny had 2 songs on that. One was called Trying Times, and the other one was called Our Ages, Our Hearts.
But unbeknownst to Donny, he had already written what would become his own first hit single.
The first recording of The Ghetto was with the Rick Powell Trio, and we were trying to shop it. One of the people that we ran into was King Curtis. And King Curtis' first reaction was to ask Donny to be in his band, okay? So Donny was like, well, no, I'm really trying to do my own thing. So it was King Curtis that introduced us to Jerry Wexler at Atlantic.
Atlantic Records, perched above Rockefeller Plaza in New York City. It had been a dominant force in music for a generation. By 1969, it was also the home to many premier African-American artists, mostly thanks to his executive record producer, Jerry Wexler. Acclaimed for his work with Wilson Pickett and Aretha Franklin, Wexler was on the lookout for extraordinary talent.
King Curtis brought a tape of this singer, Donny Hathaway. We were incredibly impressed, and we jumped on it.
We had to go to New York. Layla was very, very small. And the moment we got into the limo with Jerry, she wanted, like all children, to try all the buttons, bells, and whistles. So I'm saying, no, no, no. He said, leave her alone. She can't break anything in here. He was a very, very nice person to us.
In those days, I used to think that we had 2 geniuses on Atlantic, Aretha Franklin and Ray Charles. When Donny Hathaway signed up, I announced to one and all that I think we have found our third genius.
Donny basically felt that. He said, you know, we're going to make this a record that's going to live forever.
In late '69, Donny gathered his band in Chicago to record his first record.
The cat was just a complete genius. That first album shows the genius that he really was about, because nobody was bothering him, and it was all his creation. He arranged, produced everything.
All you had to do was listen to him sing and play, and you would discern the elements of a very, very gifted individual.
Donny's formidable grasp of music was often daunting.
Donny was a perfectionist. He knew what he wanted. I mean, I remember one of the musicians took the trumpet, played it an octave higher, you know, and Donny said, I didn't write it that way. He said, that isn't the way I wanted it. Play it the way it's written.
I remember one session where he'd be going over and over the same 4 bars. To us, it sounded correct, but no, there's something here, something here. Finally, one of the musicians said, listen, man, let's make a record and get on with it, or we'll all go home.
Donny Hathaway's perfectionism was about to pay off.
People were proud to be from the ghetto. He made it sexy.
I like to do blues as a reflection on a period past and present in black people's lives, because it is the secular side of the religious music that we had in our church.
1970 marked the painful culmination of a decade of social and political unrest. In the African American community, there was a growing sense of self-affirmation and racial pride. That July, Donny Hathaway released his debut, Everything is Everything, and his first single, The Ghetto.
The Ghetto. That was his first song, that made him popular.
Yes, this is the ghetto, y'all. Showing up now.
Donny Hathaway was a soul brother, no question about it. He had his fro, he wore his Apple Jacks, and then, oh my goodness, when he took to the piano, he glamorized the ghetto. He made it sexy.
But people were just kind of yearning, I think, for the kind of sound that Donny gave. His voice just knocked us out. It was just powerful. It was very strong, but very smooth and just sensuous. And just beautiful, just engulfed you.
One-of-a-kind genius. That's how talented this cat was, man. I'd seen a lot of cats. I hadn't seen nobody could write a song like Donny could.
Everything is Everything edged into the top 100, peaking modestly at number 73. But among fellow musicians, Donny Hathaway was treated with reverence.
The first time I saw him was almost like a sermon, but it was a soulful sermon. He could sing blues, he could do your jazz scat thing, but you still heard that church was always there. And he was the best at that I'd ever actually seen.
Donny was a very special musician, very, very special musician that, like Stevie, Marvin Gaye, etc., he understood what happened before him musically, and he knew about the roots. It was very important.
Being on the road with Donny, each night there would be a press reception, and any local celebrities. Every night after the performance, people were just kind of speechless. They couldn't believe what they had just heard.